fascination of life, the fascination of games, is the unknown result, not the known result.
Hello everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining me today where we will start developing a game. So I have been really interested in making these city builders or simulators lately. I kind of got into the City Skylines game, and then the second one came out and there was a lot of controversy about this. So I was inspired to try and see what it's like to develop such a game. And of course, we will keep it in a very small scale. We will keep it in 2 dimensions. So I just made a completely new blank game project. Today's agenda will be to create one lane. Let's just make an object called object lane. Okay, and I was playing around with this one time, trying to start making this game, and I realized in order to simulate traffic, you need to essentially make it into a network. One could say that's self-explanatory, but that's important to know before you get into it. And I approached it in a different way, and they kind of didn't work out. It was not very scalable, to say the least. Okay, so we're going to make a lane today, and we're going to make a interface. We will call it graphical user interface, because later on this will also be handling the actual buttons on the screen. So let's start by setting a few things here. We can make an enum that we will call GUI actions. One of them will be a build road action, and that is essentially what we're going to do today. We will define these as current actions. Okay, current action is equal to GUI actions.build road. So now we will go into our step event. Delete this, and then we will say, so we say if mouse button pressed left. So we're creating an event in which we can start creating a road, right? And so we will actually have two different, because we need to go between these none and build road. So we will have a null. We will actually do like this, okay? Because once we go into the action of building the road, you go into one state where the road is being built, right? And then you go out of that state again, essentially. When we click the button, we say current action is equal to .build road. Okay, great. This is actually something that I have been inspired by the City Skylines, is that you actually click and then you click again to create the road. So we can actually say that this instead. So if current action is equal to current actions.none, then we set it, and we can write a comment here. Else, if current action is equal to GUI actions.build road, we can write a comment here. Then we say current action is equal to the none one. And there we go. So now we are basically creating a road. I mean, we're not doing anything, obviously, but let's try to go into the world itself, and let's address how we're going to deal with this. So I just changed it to full HD resolution, and we'll put it up here, and we will say background color. We'll just make some pretty grass color kind of thing, I think, for now. Beautiful. Good. So now we put in the graphical user interface, and then we can actually start drawing something. And the lanes are gonna be linear for now, so we're gonna just express them as lines. So when we click somewhere, right, we want to save the mouse position. We will make these temporary variables because we can use the same variables again and again. And so this is why it's not more specified. And I know maybe I'm thinking too much ahead, but I like to at least make a clear indication of where I'm going with it. So when we begin building the road, we want to save where the road is being built from. So let's say mouse X and mouse Y. Then we will create a new object. Let's call it object road network. And for now, this will simply be a list. We'll just simply call it road network, and it will be an empty array. So this lane will later on become a road. These will be put into this network, okay? And then we will most likely be doing some matrices or something like that. And I'm kind of curious how that's gonna turn out, because I haven't done so much of this math in GameMaker, but let's try and see. So now we are essentially ready to go with making our lane. So let's go into the lane. And instead of actually doing anything with the events, I want to make some variable definitions in here instead. We say here start x, start y, end x, end y. And we could essentially also make a type, but for now we'll keep it very simple. So I'll leave it like this. So we have defined these variables now. They're just all set to 0. That's fine. But that makes it easier for us to deal with it in a second. So we'll go in here into the finish building road, and we will say new road is equal to instance create depth, and we will just address these as 0 for now. All of them. Lane. And then we have the var struct, and we will write it like this. Okay, and then we will push this into our road network. So you see we have this road network here. We also need to initialize this. And one thing I like to do in the beginning of making a game is just to make a object called object game. And then we can just make the create event, and we can say instance create. And we'll do the same for the road network. So we go in here, and then we say array push, and then we need to access the array. And this is one thing that many people don't like about GameMaker, and I kind of agree, is that you have to access other objects functions. There are ways of going around that, and I probably will do that later on, but for simplicity now we'll just do like this with road network. Great. And now we want to draw two places, because we want to draw the finished road, and we want to draw that in the road network. And then we want to draw the making. So we'll draw a temporary, maybe transparent line, and then we'll draw it fully built afterwards. And for now, they'll just be lines, okay? So there's nothing too fancy about that. But let's try to go in our graphical user interface. We can just say goodbye to that one. And then we can say switch current action exactly. Okay, so let's, for the first time, let's just go in here, make sure this one is the object game. So that's basically all we need to do to start the game. Let's see if anything works at all. It's always interesting the first time you do something. And there you can see I can now build a road. So this is pretty simple, straightforward, but I can click and I can draw these lines around. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that we can already do it like this. So next up is then to, when we have added it to the road network, is to then draw it. I think we will make sure it is some specific color for this one. Okay, so we'll just make a for loop, and we'll say for each instance in the road network, array, I think there's a length. Yes, great. Yes. Okay, so we'll say, so then we'll just start by accessing our array, and then we'll say draw line width. Before that we'll say draw set color and see dark gray, because the other one was white, right? And so we will say, and the width again 8. So our first error has occurred, and it's something to do with the definitions we made in here. That's very interesting. I wonder if I can run it, actually. If it even wants, if it accepts me running it. And it does work, as you can see. So there's something wrong with, yeah, and this was actually one thing that I knew, is that it changes the color. So we just go in here, draw set color, and we'll just set this to white for now. That's fine. But as you can see, I don't know why it is that way. I think it's because it doesn't trust that it's always going to be like that. But now we are able to make these roads, basically. So these are As I said, these are actually not roads, these are lanes for where we can have traffic of some sort. Great. Perhaps later we can resolve that issue. But for now it works, right? So there should not be any problem with that. Yeah, I kind of don't really like these feathers. So this perhaps be a warning instead. Yeah, let's make it a warning. Okay, so what we will do now is we will expand upon this, and we'll do that by making this road. And this is something that I learned from trying this once before, is that you cannot just make a road object and then have it work. I mean, in principle you probably could make it work, but having these lanes will make it so much easier. So a road is essentially just going to be a collection of lanes, right? So we can have a road that is 2 lanes that go back and forth, which are for vehicles, and we have some as well for pedestrians. Let's try to do that. And so basically what we can do here is we can just copy paste this, so we can do this twice. We'll flip these. Okay, we're basically creating 2 lanes. Now we need to have some sort of offset from each other. So we want to create 2 lanes that are offset by some amount. Let's actually, before we continue, crank this up to 16, and we'll do that everywhere. Wait, it resolved. I don't know how it happened, how it got resolved, but I'm very happy with that. Now we have to calculate some angles, and we'll do that in here as well. So creating the lane. So we actually don't want these to be exactly like that. So we want the forward lane. Let's say we drive in the right side of the lane of the road. And so we can calculate some angles from these, and we'll do that. And how we are going to calculate the angle is by, so we have this function called point direction, which does it all for us. So that's lovely. That should work. I keep forgetting to do. So I think if you just set plus 90, then it should work. Yes, that's beautiful. Okay, great. Okay, and just to make sure that our lanes are actually drawn the right way, we will say here, draw arrow. Okay, and as you can see, we're driving in the wrong side of the road now, so we'll just simply change that. And you see that works in all ways. So that's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. Now let's go back and change this up. And now we should be able to have a pretty nice looking road. I want to make a few quality of life things. For example, in here, when we're in this situation, I want to be able to cancel my status. And we'll do that real quick in here as well. I actually think we will do that up here. We'll just always set it to none. And we will also reset the mouse values for good measure. Okay, and so now we can see we can make a road. We can, in this tool, we can also right click and then this is stuff. So this is all for today. But thank you so much for participating today, and I'll see you next time.